Hi, Internet. Another argument that I've been hearing a lot lately is the idea that if libertarians don't like the government in America, they should go somewhere else. They should just pack up and leave their home, their family, their friends, because they don't consent to the government infringing upon their rights, telling them what to smoke, telling them how to spend their money, monopolizing industries, inflating the currency, invading overseas nations, etc. And if they object to all of these corrupt and coercive policies, then they should just go somewhere, some island that doesn't have a government, or whatever, it's your problem, you figure it out. And I really think that this is a non-argument in the sense that the people making it don't actually believe it. It's really a cop-out. It's not something that they're saying from the heart. It's not something that they believe and are willing to apply to their own views. It's really a non-argument. And we can see that if we examine other political issues from the past where people have argued that their rights were being violated. So if we go back, say a century or so to when women could not vote in every state in the United States. Some states they could vote in, some states they could not vote in. And women were arguing at the time that this was not fair. It was a violation of their rights, they're people, they should be treated like people, there's no reason why men should be allowed to vote and women should not be allowed to vote. And of course I agree with that. One's political status should not depend on one's gender. It's a clear violation of human rights to treat people differently under the law based on what their bodies are like. And I really can't see any of the people today who are making this argument that libertarians who believe their rights are being violated by the government should move somewhere else. I can't see them going back in time a century and telling the women that, well, there are some states where you are allowed to vote, so if you live in a state where you're not allowed to vote, just pack up and leave. Just move to a state where you are allowed to vote. Don't complain about the fact that your rights are being violated. Don't complain about the fact that you're not being treated equally under the law. Just leave. Leave your family, leave your friends, leave your job, leave your home, leave your culture, and go somewhere else. Nobody would make that argument about any past issue where people's rights were previously being violated and they wanted to change the government. But they will make it about issues today where people's rights are being violated. So if you object to the fact that people are being put in cages because they smoke the wrong kind of plant, if you object to the fact that the government is taking the product of your labor in the form of income taxes and then using that resource that you produce, the money or whatever it is that you're paid in, to then slaughter innocents overseas, put people in cages, pay off bureaucrats, buy votes through welfare programs. If you object to any of those things, then people will tell you, well, why don't you just go somewhere else? But they would never do that with the Crusaders in the past. And that's why I really think it's a non-argument. There are Democrats in this country who want the government to completely provide health care for everyone. They want the government to use force to take the product of people's labor in the form of taxes and then redistribute that wealth in the form of a healthcare bureaucracy that would, at least allegedly, provide health care to everyone. Well, there are many Western democracies, even Western democracies where English is spoken, like the United Kingdom or Belgium, where these people could move right now. They could just leave and go, and they would have their government healthcare system, but they don't do that. At least the vast majority of them don't. And similarly, we have many people in the Republican Party arguing that the government needs to basically impose a religion, tell people who they can and can't marry according to religious standards, and all sorts of other moralistic crusading where they want the government to use force to assign a personal lifestyle to people. But actually, there are a lot of governments in South America where that's already the case. A lot of places where basically Catholicism or some other branch of Christianity has been imposed by the government, and you're only allowed to marry, a certain person. You're only allowed to marry a person of the opposite gender who's reached a certain age and has all these whatever, and then there's no abortion. It's illegal in many places in South America, and basically they have all these things that a lot of people in the Republican Party are arguing for. But you never see Republicans pack up and go to South America. You never see anybody put their money where their mouth is on this stuff. And why don't they do that? Because They don't believe the argument that they're making. They don't really think that if you object to the political system in a country, the obvious choice is to just immediately leave your home and leave everything you've grown up around, your culture, your job, your family, your friends. It's a cop-out. It's a non-argument. Nobody believes that. People know that where you live is valuable to you, and most importantly, that if you believe you have rights, and if you believe that your government is violating those rights, then you should take a stand here and now. You don't deserve to have your rights respected somewhere else. You deserve to have your rights respected right here, right now. That's your right as a human being. And if you accept the libertarian principle of individual rights, of free minds, free markets, of people cooperating and not coercing each other into following whatever arbitrary rules some idiot happens to come up with, then you think people have those rights here, now. They need to have those rights respected here, now. They don't need to go overseas. They don't need to leave their family and their friends. They need to stand and stand up for what they believe in, stay where they are, and argue for the cause of freedom here and now. So it's a cop-out to say that people who disagree with their government should leave. Nobody would tell women who wanted to vote that they should just go to a different state. Nobody would tell, blacks who wanted to be treated equally that they should just leave where they live. People have always stood up and argued for their rights in the here and now, and that's what I'm continuing to do today.